You're listening to the Boston Greeks podcast with Ari and Foti. They've been bringing Greek culture online since 1998, and now they're bringing you the best Greek guests Boston has to offer. So grab your kafedaki and join us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Boston Greeks podcast. I am Ari, and I am here with my co-host Foti Stamos. Hello, Foti.
Let's do Ari.
How's it going?
It's going great, and excited for another episode of the Boston Greeks podcast.
So today's episode is going to be very interesting because our guest is involved in something that is pretty much high priority in many Greeks' lives, especially in the Boston area. So why don't you, Foti, kind of introduce our guest so we could get into it?
Let's welcome our multi-talented, multi-preneur, master network guest, Georgia Balafas. Georgia, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We felt it was super important to have you on because you are so pivotal in the real estate market in Boston that I've been watching you closely, doing amazing things in and outside of the industry. And it's a pleasure to have you here. So welcome to the show, Georgia.
Thank you so much, Foti and Adi, for having me. It's
Absolutely.
A pleasure to be here.
Thank you for taking the time.
And
Foti, why don't we kind of start off with?
So we want to get to know you. We want to get to know you more, Georgia, as far as a native of the Boston area. You know, all of our guests, we like to know where you grew up, what was your Greek upbringing in the local area, and then we'll segue into what you're doing.
Okay. Born and raised in Boston, first generation, just like most of us. Yep. So my mother's from Kalimnos. Yeah. And my dad is from Corinthos. He's from a little village outside of Corinthos called Stefani. Okay. Typical story. They came here young, they met here, and I'm the oldest. So much like most immigrant parents, like they put us to work, right, from a young age. My father had pizza places. But also not just that, it was more, he also was involved with real estate. I guess I got my first bearings with real estate with him without even realizing it, just looking at properties. He had investment properties. I helped him out with his commercial leases, did his property management in college. But just seeing that and being around it, I didn't realize how important it was. And also we renovated homes and just being able to foresee, I guess, past, opening up walls, what that looked like. So I've done other things before real estate, other careers, but I guess that was my background with real estate sort of growing up.
Oh, it sounds like...
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, it sounds like you were like molded to be who you are right now.
Yeah, so without even realizing it, but yes. So multitasking with the pizza places. So anybody who has a restaurant knows you have to, wear a lot of different hats, think on your feet really quickly, high stress. So I guess any other career path that also helped with. As far as growing up, we moved around a lot because of my father's different restaurants. I've lived in Boston, Rosendale, Cambridge, Plymouth. Dedham was for the most part, Dedham. That's where I lived for the longest. I moved to Greece for a few years. I came back. I lived in Brookline, Cambridge, and now I live in Back Bay in Boston. But we moved around a lot young. So I think also that also helped with just seeing different homes and what that was like, I guess.
Well, I'm sure.
Go ahead, Foti.
I'm sorry. It from what you're saying to us, I'm sure you've seen huge transformations in your career of what these areas used to be and what they are today.
Even before Foti and Adi, just like for us growing up here, how it was when we were in college. Let's not even talk about some areas such as Somerville, South Boston, Charlestown, areas. I mean, the seaport. Should we talk about the seaport, like an obvious one? But just even in we're not that old, but even in our age, what those changes have looked like. Kendall Square, one of my first jobs out of college was at an ad agency in Kendall Square, which there was nothing. It was all parking lots and the Galleria Mall. And, obviously we know what that looks like now, with the development. Companies started getting smart and saying, we have all this brain power at MIT. Why not start developing around it? But that's a huge transformation. So seeing even those neighborhoods change, even before real estate as a career, is just unbelievable. It's just, yeah, it's great to see how our city has changed from where we were young.
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing. So why? Let me ask you this: why didn't you go directly into real estate? Why did you have like some sort of question to see? Maybe I want to try this, maybe I want to try that, and then you realize that real estate really is for you, or was it more so you didn't want to have anything to do with real estate because you dealt with it with your dad, and you're like, well, my dad has all this stuff, so I'll help him, but I don't want to do that. Was it, what was it that?
Yep, you're right, Addie. I think it was mostly because he owned property and it was on the property management aspect, and it's just problem solving. It was fine, but it wasn't something that appealed to me as far as making property management a career. So I do real estate sales, and that's what I primarily focus on, and residential sales primarily. That's my niche. But I think it was a different career path that I took. So I really did everything, I think, under the sun. I've done graphic design. I did freelance graphic design. I did sales and marketing. I went into an ad agency. I worked on the account side for 2 years. I moved to Greece. I was a PR manager for a small import-export company. The second year, I did tourism and marketing and basically sales for hotels. Wow. I lived on an island called Skiathos for 4 months, doing on-site for a hotel called Nostos. I did marketing and sales. Wow. That job ended. It was August, and I thought I would come back and get my master's because my undergraduate is in advertising and communications. Came back to start my master's. It was in Multinational Commerce. I started working at BU full-time. I did real estate part-time on the weekends because why not? Sure. And then my career changed even in BU. My full-time job went from university relations. Then for 2 years, I was in development and alumni relations. So I was coordinating all these high-end alumni events all over the world, doing international alumni events. And then for 3 years, I was in their under their marketing umbrella, and I was the director of campus information and visitor relations. So I had 16 students reporting to me, but very boring stuff: maps, directories, information centers, getting information out about BU. And then it was 2010, and I was a spreadsheet line item like many others at the time, and my whole department got wiped out. So here I was laid off. My department was wiped out, and that's when I did some soul searching. I think I said, instead of going back to corporate America or academia, I wanted to sort of officially kind of work for myself, kind of what we were brought up to do. You work hard and that's what you know. So I started thinking, what is it that I would like? And I felt that my marketing, communications, advertising, all those skills could be kind of put to good use. And real estate was something, because I work with people, I thought it would be a good fit. So I interviewed at 9 different offices, chose one. And here I am 13 and a half years later, still doing real estate full time, and at 3 different offices. So I'm now with Compass, in Back Bay. I've been with them now, 5 years, over 5, it'll be 6 years actually in January. So time flies. Yeah. And that's where it is. I feel like I blinked and here I am. So
bravo.
Impressive. I need a glass of wine just to absorb all of this.
I was gonna say we've been friends for a while, but I knew you were kind of involved in certain things, but I had no idea of the wide spectrum. I mean, you definitely wore many hats. That's pretty cool. That's pretty impressive. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think,
I think a lot of the stuff you mentioned you could probably incorporate into your career now, right? I mean, graphic design, you could always incorporate that, invitations or whatever, flyers or whatever you do, even online.
Yeah.
Communications, obviously, like you need to have good communications for real estate. You're a people person, and that's important. So that's great.
Tell us a little bit, Georgia, like what's going on in the city these days? I mean, I drive into the city a couple times a week because I can't get enough of it. And, every time I drive in, it's always something new's popping up. I'm just over like impressed, surprised, and it just seems like it's not slowing down. Despite the economic times that we're in and the climate that we're in, it just feels and seems like there's more to come in the city.
So I think we're very lucky in Boston. We don't realize how lucky we are because of all the universities that we have, the hospitals, just the biotech. We have a lot of different industries that support us. So even sometimes in a recession, people go back to school. Even during COVID, we saw with all the situations, how important hospitals are. So I think we're in a good spot that people want to live here, and they see this as a secure investment. So Boston is changing, because before it used to only appeal to college students. I feel a lot of people thought, you come here for college and then you leave to go to New York City or maybe another city, London, or what it is, that to go and live and have a career. But now that companies are starting to recruit and keep and maintain professionals here, and they're having families, they also want the nice restaurants. They want the nice hotels. Like we're seeing, a second Four Seasons. We're seeing a Raffles that just opened up.
I just went to that.
Right?
Amazing. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Yeah. So we have better restaurants, as you know. Look at all the Greek restaurants that have even opened up. That's amazing. I think we're becoming, I'm not going to say we're a foodie city just yet, but we're getting better and better. And I think we're appealing to adults. And because of it, now the condos, the apartments, the living situation has to be that of a professional, and it can't be that of a student. So I think the building is happening because of that, because people want to live here and they see it's a safe place to live. It's another, we have good schools, even for not just the universities, but for children to come and, for families to have, to raise their children here. So I think people are staying, and our city's trying to adapt to that.
And despite how expensive it is, because you hear that, are we rated as a city in Boston, one of the top?
Yeah, we're like
most expensive cities in the country?
Maybe second, I think.
Yeah.
Is it second?
Not second, but we're high up there. We're definitely in the top 10.
So despite that it's so expensive, it seems like every place is filled. There's like maybe there's, I don't know if the word vacancies are around, but every place that is popping up from a development is always full.
Yeah. And I think, different conditions always change certain things. Like during COVID, people, left the city to go in the suburbs for more space, or because of working remote. We are seeing a lot of people coming back. I think it depends on what people's life stage is and what they're looking for. If you're a student, you're not going to want to live in the suburbs. You want to be close. No, not having a car, being able to get around with public transportation or bike. But even a lot of offices are demanding people to go back. So if you're, working in the city, a lot of people want to live close by and not deal with parking and then traffic of an hour plus, but always. So that's becoming what it is. Yeah, I think we have a lot to offer. And even though the city is expensive, people still want to be here over some others. So, yeah,
I see that firsthand myself. Are there any Georgia neighborhoods that you can let our audience know that are really up and coming?
Up and coming neighborhoods. They're all, I think they already came, I believe. Yeah.
Does that mean you need to create new ones?
Boston is another one that's great. It's you can take literally a water taxi across. You're across from the financial district, and that's a great one. Georgia, East Boston,
Yep.
A lot in Dorchester. There, new developments there are happening, and they're changing that area. I think we just keep spreading over and over. But if for Boston, I would say that I think the seaport is saturated at the moment. It's gone, right? And they're just trying to expand, but we only have limited amount of space. We're up against the water, so there's only so much you can develop and do. But yeah.
Would they ever consider filling in land in that area?
That's part of a lot of Boston is landfill. Maybe they could do more.
More? I don't know.
Is it true, Georgia, that most of that is the fill from the Big Dig?
No, that was way before the Big Dig.
It was before the Big Dig, actually. We were all marshes, Foti. So
where did all that fill go?
So Back Bay and South End is actually all filled in. That's all has become filled in, and that's why it is what it is. So, yep.
But not the seaport.
Not the seaport. No, the seaport. It's
Wow.
yeah, but where it is, we are rivaling. And like, for instance, in the seaport in One Dalton, which is one of the newest developments of Four Seasons, the price per square foot has surpassed Manhattan in many ways. And
I want to meet these people
yeah,
that are affording these locations. This is great.
Yeah.
You don't really realize it until you're, in the thick of this, like Boston culture, because when you think of Boston, you don't really think big city. You said Manhattan. When you think of Manhattan, you think of, this vibrant, Los Angeles or London and so forth. But Boston really is becomes, in my opinion, a really proclaimed international city that brings so many people here.
Yes, it does. And we take it for granted, or at least I did, but we have so much multiculturalism, but it's such a nice international aspect to it. It's nice to see people look different, think different, speak different languages. And we're very lucky in that essence. We don't see that in other parts of the US or other parts of the world, but even in the US, I feel. So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Georgia, anything that you can share with us, to our listening audience who has listened to this episode, when it comes to real estate? I know you say you do sales, so you're always on the search and the hunt to find the best place for your client and where they should live based on their circumstances. For those that are looking for a place to settle, is there anything that you can share with us, to our audience, that can have like a checklist of what to consider before they connect with you, because they're going to connect with you when it comes to find a place?
Of course. I think it's more, you have to start with your budget, know what your expenses are in your home. So that way, what it is that you spend on a monthly basis, aside from house stuff, we all have expenses, and where we feel comfortable. And then it's getting pre-approved. So it's the first step is to be pre-approved and seeing, just because a lender is going to say what you can get approved for, what amount, how much money you're putting down, what are your savings. And that kind of dictates where you can also start looking. And that also, we have to remember that interest can change that. When the interest rates go up, for instance, 1 point that goes up, we lose 10% of buying power. So the interest rates fluctuating have changed so much, dictates what people can afford. That same house that they could afford last year, they can't anymore for monthly purposes, monthly budget, what their expenses would be. I think also understanding that not just being so focused on one neighborhood or one location. There are many times that people come to me with, this is what we like, don't like, this is where a job is. And I help them consider other towns that they weren't considering. So I think it's more thinking about and being flexible. No house is perfect. I say this to every client. Doesn't matter what your budget is, how much money you're going to be. There's always something that could have been a little bit different that you would have changed. So I think knowing what your must-haves are versus what would be nice to have, and focusing on what's important, and then, and making sure that it's a good investment. And that's where I always also help clients is to, see past, like, a lot of very pretty properties might be over just, but there's just too much money that was spent in there by the developer, but that's not where they're going to build their equity. And sometimes doing some, sweat equity, or putting, taking down that ugly wallpaper, ripping up those carpets, doing things that are very easy could help someone, get a property to less money for better value long term. So I think it's just thinking of those things, not just going for the prettiest, most expensive house, but looking at the property, in the best neighborhood, but the smallest house that you can kind of fix up and do that. That's where you build the equity and the value long term.
Listening to you, Georgia, you're a real estate agent, so this is a good thing, because there's a lot that I've learned over the years. There's a lot that I don't know. And I think a lot of people are like that. There's some people who know a lot, but they don't know everything. Other people don't know much, or other people are confused about things. But you make it sound very nice, very easygoing. Like, I get that sense of like ease when I'm listening to you explain about this stuff. Like, if I had a real estate agent, I would want her to be like you, because you make me feel at ease, because you're knowledgeable about what you're talking about. You obviously know the market and the areas and all that stuff. And it's nice the way you explain things. It's very very calm, very serene, and that's exactly what I would look for. And
So
I think a lot of people like that.
basically what Ari's saying, George, is that at some point soon we're going to get kicked out of our home. So you're going to need to help us.
Oh yeah. Well, I told her this. I told her this a few years ago that at some point, and this is still like a real thing. At some point, I'm coming back there, and I need to start looking.
Well, it is stressful. It's one of the most stressful things you can do is buy or sell a house. It's up there with getting married or, having a baby or unfortunately death. So I try to just absorb as much stress as I can from my clients so that they kind of are able to make these decisions, and not have this add more stress to them. So whatever, it's like being prepared. I come with a team, I have different people that I work with, attorneys, mortgage brokers, electricians, plumbers. I say that I'm a psychologist and a problem solver. That's about knowing about real estate. It's really understanding people and making sure that they're going to be happy and not making rash decisions. And that's it. Just holding them through the process. If they're first time, home buyer, but even if they're a seller and they've done this many times, people get anxious, and that's it. It's just like making them be as calm as they possibly can. So
you just made me calm right now.
Yeah.
Well, Georgia, I don't know. This has been great. It's been very insightful for myself, and Ari, you can speak for yourself, but we definitely enjoyed having you on the program. We're gonna definitely have all of your information at the notes, and I'll let Ari kind of reiterate that. Yeah. But anything that you want to leave us off with? Any tips? Anything? Last minute comments as far as Georgia in your world?
Georgia, my world. No, I think it's just I'm here to help anybody buy or sell their home. I'm happy to do it. I love what I do, and I'm passionate about it. And that's really it. You're welcome to reach out to me. Everybody's situation is unique, but if I can help, I'm happy to.
Excellent.
And I know a lot of real estate agents, but Georgia, I don't know, personally, your daily life, but I know that you're successful at what you do. You're good at what you do. And like I said before, listening to you just puts me at ease, which is exactly what I would look for in a real estate agent. We've done some events with her, Foti, and like those were like, we did like a party at your office, which was awesome. And I was like, wow, Georgia has some great clients and really cool people around her. And then we did one at a house you were selling, and that was like a fantastic house in Cambridge, I think it was.
Yeah, Cambridge.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you're doing well and you're doing the right thing and you're good at what you do. Well, so kudos to you.
Before we do end off, speaking of what you just said, Ari, these magnificent homes, these like something out of a movie, and I saw a statistic about how much money you've closed in deals. Can we publicly announce how much you've closed?
Why? That's like
it just goes to show you that Georgia gets the job done regardless.
I honestly, Foti, it's, sometimes in my profession, we have to kind of talk about it. Sometimes people don't know what we do. It's more for me, it's about helping people. I have a lot of the same clients that have been repeat over, like I've met them when they were single, then they meet someone, I help them buy their bigger place together, and then they have the kids and they are off to the suburbs and I help them buy that place together. So I think that's what I like more. It's like, I don't see it as a transaction. I see it as I have good relationships with people, and it's like that I'm helping them, and it's like I'm part of their lives in many ways.
How many invitations do you get on a weekly basis to attend these people's like family gatherings, birthday parties?
A lot of weddings, baptisms.
That's a nice little fringe benefit.
Yeah, birthday parties. Yeah, but it's nice. I take that as a compliment. So it's
absolutely
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Wow.
Well, thank you, George. Thank you, Georgia.
That's great, Georgia. Thank you so much for being with us. Guys, if anybody out there is thinking of it, doing it, needs help, needs information, needs something, Georgia's the one for you. We're going to have all our information in our notes, the video and the audio. And Georgia, once again, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you. We appreciate what you do. We've been following you and behind you for a long time, and we know that you're awesome at what you do. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Georgia. And again, I want to reiterate, what Ari's saying is he wants you to host more parties so that we can.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, done.
But
Noted.
thank you so much, Georgia.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everybody out there, for watching and listening. Georgia Balafas was with us. And, like we said, if you have any needs whatsoever, contact her with her information. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Yasas.